within 3 minutes. Insulin, when it goes in the bloodstream, okay, is going to take anything that is in the bloodstream and push it into the cells. When you're training, okay, blood flow to the muscle reaches astonishing 65-70%. So just for you to understand, right now, at this moment, okay, ladies have about 4 or 5 liters of blood, okay, guys 5-6 liters, and 10, 12, 15% right now is in the muscle. We are inactive. As soon as I start doing something, right, my brain is sending the blood into the physically active part of the body. So blood, when you start training, it starts moving. That's hyperemia, increased blood flow to the muscle that you're training. So you have a crazy blood flow into that muscle that you're training. Every muscle contraction opens up the cells. It's ready for uptake. If those nutrients are pre-digested in elemental state, like essential amino acids, like glucose, ATP, insulin traps it and puts it into the muscle. So more different kind of exercises you do and types of contraction, like in the giant sets when you change the tempo, change the grip, change this, change that. More muscle fibers are reaching, the blood is going into more areas and inserting into more cells. Final?
Sorry, how important is the source of carbohydrate though? Talking about whether it be like cyclodextrin or,
okay.
not dextrin, dextrose.
I'm going to answer just,
actually
I'm going to tell you exactly. It's a very good question because somebody else was going to ask me that at the podcast and they didn't, so now I'm going to say this. But for you first to understand, I'm going to answer this. Glucose causes insulin release. Insulin traps everything that is in the blood and stores it. If you have only good things are going to happen. If you have triglycerides, then it's going to be inserted in, also stored, and you can even have intramuscular triglycerides. So you can get fat, but you can also get that bloated gut look that a lot of bodybuilders would having because they don't understand that when you use insulin, for example, or you trigger your endogenous insulin release, if you have too much triglycerides lingering around, they're going to be trapped and inserted. Now, as you say, for glucose, back 10 years ago or something, I read studies about high molecular weight glucose polymer Vitargo from Karolinska University of Sweden, and it's so superior. It's the fastest gastric emptying, like how it goes immediately. So I actually like the study, and I started recommending, right? It's about 10 times more expensive than simple dextrose, right? Dextrose is D-glucose. It's identical to your blood sugar. So if you take a cheap dextrose, right, you have no problem. You're going to still get that glucose. Glucose is monomer, right? One molecule. Sugar that you put in your coffee, sucrose is 2 molecules, glucose and fructose together, right? And then you have oligomers and you have polymers. They fed you this, I don't want to say bullshit because that would be wrong, but information that this is so much better than anything else. This causes 10 times better release. You take a glucose, it's a glucose. It's going to be in your bloodstream. You take a polysaccharide, maltodextrin, cyclic dextrin, amylopectin, amylose, anything, right? You're going to get the same, right? That is issues of osmolality. If you're going to be bloated, if it's really beneficial to take this expensive polymer. So I was giving, Vitargo to everybody, but then those guys start complaining to me that they feel bloated. Hold on a second, you're not supposed to be bloated if you're taking this. And then these guys switch to dextrose and they have no bloatness. It's supposed to be the opposite, right? So that question that you asked is perfect. For me, if the final result of the food or supplement that you're going to be taking is going to be glucose in an exact same time frame, 3 minutes, right? Whether it's from dextrose or from this expensive polymer, you're going to get the dextrose, okay? Now, if osmolality is a little bit different, it's going to take your body a little bit longer to, get out of the stomach, or you're going to have a fluid, coming into the gut. That's the only difference. But if you're doing it to trigger insulin release, to have enough glucose, it's absolutely the same. What is not the same is about amino acids. I accepted this theory actually of hyperemia, of taking pre, during, and post-workout supplements back in 80s from my father, who was the Dr. Science of neuropsychiatry, who doesn't supposed to know anything about bodybuilding, right? So I didn't really want to listen to him when he had advice, but then he told me right there, I say, okay, Milos, you understand that exercise physiology is a science, right? Would tell you, okay, go to the gym on empty stomach because you don't want to have gastrointestinal problems, digesting food when you're training. So intensely train, trash your muscle fibers, right? Okay, deplete all the nutrients, glucose, glycogen, ATP, amino acids, right? Create those micro tears, all this stuff. So you are pushing your body into catabolic state. It's a high protein degradation, right? So it's equivalent to taking a hammer and breaking down the house, okay? And then as you break the house, now let's build it again and let's build it a little bit stronger, put one brick more, right? So he never agreed with this ludicrous thing because as a medical doctor, again, every catabolic state of the body is not welcome. So if you train 2 times a day and 2 times a day you're pushing your body into catabolic state, in so many weeks, so many months or years, you're certainly shortening your lifespan. So he told me, why would you become catabolic and then slowly replenish everything? Why don't you actually insert all these nutrients when it's the best opportunity, when the blood is there, into the muscle that you're training? That's where you want it, that's where you're going to get it. And pretty much if you color that drink into black, for example, and after the training hours later you check, your muscle should be black because that thing is inserted exactly in the muscle that you were training, guaranteed. Okay, before I go any further, I want to give you a chance.
But their use wasn't so stable, I guess, because most of the people used like a muscle input to grow, to hypertrophy, while basically branched chain amino acids are used by muscle as an alternative way to build up glucose, right? So the only use that makes sense to me was if you dieting, if you have, for instance, cardio in the morning, and you don't want to spike your insulin up, take branched chain amino acids right before the aerobic session to have because fats burns when sugars are there in the Krebs cycle. Otherwise, you won't use your fats as a source of energy. So you will break down your muscle to put it in the Krebs cycle and burn some fats. So the only moment to use branched chain amino acids with the logic is when you do this and you use it as an alternative way of sugars. So it's the most expensive way, of course, but it's a sparing way for saving muscles. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know if you were here when I was talking about branched chain amino acids, as you say, are the most popular supplement for so many decades. It was used for that reason as alternative to the glucose, right? Now, this is what I was saying. Why, in an instance, when we train with the weights, not about the pre-cardio use, but when you do the muscle contractions and you use high level of glucose, why use them to be converted into glucose? Because it's stupid, ineffective way and wasting money and valuable amino acids. Now, most of the years back then, now they changed a little bit. There were advertisers, take branched chain amino acids to spare muscle glycogen. This is how it was advertised. Use expensive amino acids to spare cheap glucose. It just doesn't make sense. So I agree, completely. I hope you understand what the doctor said. The thing is that I do believe that amino acids should be really considered to be the most important supplement to be taken. Now, if you have here sponsored athlete by many protein companies, I would be probably shut because I'm not talking about being against the protein, but let's analyze. Why do you eat whey protein or chicken or fish, egg whites, beef.